Republican senators threatened to shut down government over vaccine mandate ahead of Friday deadline. The federal government faces the threat of shutting down Friday at midnight, despite an announcement from congressional leaders Thursday of an agreement to extend funding into February, because Republican senators are objecting to President Joe Biden's vaccine mandate. Key negotiators from both parties announced a plan Thursday morning that would keep the federal government funded, but due to Senate rules governing procedure, all 100 senators would need to agree in order to quickly pass the plan before Friday, and a handful of GOP senators are standing by their threats to delay the process over the vaccine rules. House Appropriations Committee Chairwoman Rosa DeLauro, a Connecticut Democrat, announced the latest plan, which would go through February 18, and the House is expected to vote as soon as Thursday. While lawmakers are confident that they can ultimately prevent a prolonged shutdown, a brief shutdown over the weekend, or extending into next week, remains a possibility. Senator Richard Shelby of Alabama, the top Republican member of the Senate Appropriations Committee, also said negotiators had reached a deal, though it was unclear as of Thursday morning if the agreement meant that all 50 members of the GOP conference supported quick passage. "I'm pleased that we have finally reached an agreement on the continuing resolution," Shelby said in his statement. Asked whether he thinks the Senate will swiftly take up the continuing resolution once it passes the House, averting a shutdown, Senate GOP leader Mitch McConnell told reporters Thursday morning, "I sure hope so. We're not going to shut the government down," the top Republican said in an interview on Fox News, adding, "That makes no sense for anyone. Almost no one on either side thinks it's a good idea." But a group of Senate Republicans have repeatedly threatened throughout the week to delay passage of the continuing resolution over the Biden administration's rule that requires employers with 100 or more employees to ensure their employees are fully vaccinated against COVID-19 or undergo regular testing and wear face masks in the workplace. Republican Senator Roger Marshall of Kansas stood by his opposition on Thursday, saying he would object to an effort to quickly pass a stopgap bill to keep the government open unless he gets an amendment vote to defund the Biden vaccine mandate on businesses at a 51-vote threshold. "Shutting down the government is worth saving the jobs in Kansas," he said. Asked if he would object to a vote to pass the stopgap if the amendment vote was set at a 60-vote threshold, Marshall said, "That's where I'm at today. The 51-vote margin is important because it puts the amendment in striking distance of passage." Moderate Democratic Senator Joe Manchin of West Virginia would not rule out backing such an amendment, saying he backs mandates on federal employees but is less enthused by mandates on the private sector. Texas Republican Senator Ted Cruz also did not rule out holding up the continuing resolution over vaccine mandates when he spoke to CNN on Wednesday. "I think we should use every tool we have to protect people's rights, and the vaccine mandates are illegal, they're abusive, and they're hurting this country," Cruz said. "It is wrong." Republican Senator Thom Tillis of North Carolina told CNN Thursday he expects the government will shut down after midnight Friday because some members of his caucus want to force a vote to block the Biden administration's vaccine mandates. Tillis said he disagreed with that approach and said his colleagues should not block the bill because "we need to fund the government. I agree with some of the concerns on the vaccine mandate, but the court has enjoined it, the Biden administration is changing it. We're gonna vote on a resolution of disapproval next week," he said. "We're going to get an opportunity to vote on things that I believe the majority of Americans agree with." Schumer expressed optimism over the deal, calling it a good compromise that allows an appropriate amount of time for both parties in both chambers to finish negotiations on appropriations. Schumer said he hopes the House will pass the stopgap measure by the end of Thursday. But referencing how some Republicans could refuse to consent to a quick vote, Schumer said, "Unfortunately it seems Republican dysfunction could be a roadblock to averting an unnecessary and dangerous government shutdown." He added, "Let's be clear, if there is a shutdown, it will be a Republican anti-vaccine shutdown." Separate from the vaccine issue, Democrats had wanted to extend funding only into January, a concession DeLauro acknowledged in her statement. To build pressure for an omnibus, the CR includes virtually no changes to existing funding or policy anomalies, DeLauro said in the announcement. However, Democrats prevailed in including $7 billion for Afghanistan evacuees. The end date is February 18. While I wish it were earlier, this agreement allows the appropriations process to move forward toward a final funding agreement which addresses the needs of the American people. The Biden administration issued a statement Thursday morning that said it strongly urges swift passage of the continuing resolution to fund the government through February 18.